Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Science. I am Prashanti. Today is my first video. I have started this channel so that I can help CBSC 10th standard children who are appearing for board exams in 2024. I would like to post small videos 10 to 15 minutes long with small topics which will help children in learning science better. Without wasting any time, let us get started. Today, of course, being the first class, today's topic is the first chapter, which is chemical reactions and equations. Before going ahead into the textbook, let us first revise a few of the topics which you have learned in your previous classes. Those topics will help you understand this chapter better. So let us go ahead. So today I would like you to recall a few topics like physical change in reaction, chemical change in reaction, atom, ion, molecule, and compound. So, what do you mean by physical change? Any change that is temporary and reversible, and it only changes in its form is called as physical change. There is no change in the chemical composition of a substance. However, in a chemical change, this change is irreversible, it is mostly permanent, or it is difficult to reverse, and there is always a formation of a new product. Let us see a basic example of a physical change. Let us take water. Water is represented as H2O. The chemical formula of water is H2O. So water at room temperature, we call it as water. It is in liquid state. When it is heated, it will change into a vapor, which we call as water vapor, and that is a gaseous state. And then when it is frozen or when it is freezed, it will turn into a solid state, and we call it as the ice. Here, same water, its appearance is changing. This is in liquid form and its state also changes. This is in liquid form, this is in gaseous form, which we can't see. This is ice, a solid form, which we can see. So here the appearance of water is changing. However, the formula or the chemical composition of the substance always remains same, which is H2O. There is no change at all. So whenever there is a physical change is occurring, we call that reaction as a physical reaction. Okay. So next, let us go to chemical change. So, as I told you, this is irreversible and a new compound is formed. Any reaction where there is a chemical change is taking place, we call it as a chemical reaction. Let us go to your textbook. It is explained very well there. Let us read through the example which is written in the textbook. So here I'll go with your textbook and notes hand in hand. You can always carry a paper and pen with you so that you can take a short notes which might help you to revise later. So let us read through your textbook. Consider the following situation of daily life and think what happens when milk is left at room temperature during summer and iron tawa or pan or nail is left exposed to humid atmosphere. Grapes get fermented, food is cooked, food gets digested in our body, we respire. So these all are examples of chemical changes or chemical reactions taking place. Whenever a chemical change occurs, we can say that the chemical reaction is taken place. So there is a change. One substance is getting changed into something different substance which is mostly irreversible. So let us go through an example. Here it is written as clean a magnesium ribbon about 3 to 4 centimeter long by rubbing it with a sandpaper. Why are we cleaning it? Because magnesium, when exposed to air, there is oxygen present in the air. It might react with oxygen and form already magnesium oxide. So there might be a layer of other compound other than magnesium ribbon. So when we clean it, we will erase all that present on the ribbon and we get the pure magnesium ribbon. So it states, hold it with a pair of tongs, burn it using a spirit lamp or burner and collect the ash as formed in the watch glass. So hold it with tongs here. Here is the magnesium ribbon and burn it using a spirit lamp. So whatever, when it burns, there is ash formed, you collect it in this watch glass. So this is watch glass. So burn the magnesium ribbon, keeping it away as far as possible from your eyes. What do you observe? The observation is also given in the textbook. Let us see through it. You must have observed that magnesium ribbon burns with a dazzling white flame and changes into a white powder. The powder is magnesium oxide. It is formed due to reaction between magnesium and oxygen present in the air. So here we will write it. See, magnesium reacts with oxygen and gives rise to magnesium oxide. So these both magnesium and oxygen are reacting to form a product which is magnesium oxide, which is totally different from magnesium and oxygen. We are getting a new product, hence it is called as a chemical change. So before representing it in an equation, before learning it further, I want you to learn a few more topics. An atom here is the smallest particle of an matter. It can, it may or may not exist independently. Atom has subatomic particles which are protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons and neutrons are in the nucleus, which are also called nucleons, and electrons um, move around the nucleus in a specific orbits or shells. So this is what you learned in 9th standard. So neutrons and protons are in the nucleus, which we call it as nucleons. Neutrons have no charge, protons have positive charge, and electrons have negative charge. Next, we'll learn about ions. An ion is a charged particle. So in an atom, we have protons and electrons in same number so that the atom is neutral or balanced. However, if an atom loses electrons or gains electrons, that means if an atom is losing electrons, it is losing negative charge, then the atom becomes positive. We call it as a positive ion, which is cation. But if an atom is gaining electrons, it is gaining negative charge, then the atom will have a negative charge in it, which we call it as an anion. So it is easy to remember if you get confused. A negative ion, you remember, it is not exactly that way, but I'm just telling you so that you can remember it easily. anion, anion. So A negative, N for negative, A for A negative ion is anion. So anion means negatively charged ion. So what is the other one which is left, which is cation? So that means cation is positively charged. You can remember it this way without getting confused. So the next topic is molecule. Molecule is a smallest substance which can exist independently, and it has all properties of an element. Here hydrogen is an element. Instead of writing as hydrogen, we can represent it as H. So two hydrogen atoms form a molecule which is H2, hydrogen molecule. Similarly, another element which is oxygen, which is represented as O. So two oxygen atoms can form one molecule which is oxygen molecule. Here you need two atoms of same element which is hydrogen to form one molecule of hydrogen which is represented as H2. Similarly, two atoms of oxygen form one molecule of oxygen which is represented as O2. So because two atoms are required, this is a diatomic molecule. If only one atom also can become a molecule, and we call it as a monoatomic molecule, which is usually for inert or noble gases or stable elements. Not necessarily only two can form a molecule, even three atoms of one element can form a molecule. Example, oxygen. Three atoms of oxygen can form one molecule of O3, which is called as ozone. So this is a triatomic or a polyatomic molecule. So a molecule is very stable. Atoms come together to form a stable form of an element, which we call it as a molecule. If same atoms are coming together to form a molecule, we call it as a molecule of an element. But in case different atoms are coming together to form one molecule, we call it as a molecule of a compound. So here you can see in a compound two atoms of hydrogen element and one atom of oxygen element has combined together to form one molecule which is water, which is H2O. So this molecule, because it has two elements, two elements which are hydrogen and oxygen, we call it as a molecule of a compound. It is molecule of an element because it has only one element in it. Here we have only hydrogen element, here we have oxygen element, here we have neon element, here we have only oxygen element. However, here we have two elements, hydrogen and oxygen, hence we call it as a compound. So that's all for today. Let us revise once again. So today we have studied what is a physical and chemical reaction. Physical reaction is reversible, it is temporary, and only change in appearance or structure it happens. However, the composition remains the same. Wherever in chemical change, the composition of an element or the substances reacting or the reactants change and new product is formed, it is highly irreversible reaction. So any reaction where a chemical change is occurring, we call it as chemical reaction. An atom has three subatomic particles which are protons, neutrons and electrons. Protons are positively charged, electrons are negatively charged, and neutrons are have no charge. Together with protons and neutrons, we call it as nucleons. So if an atom gains electrons, it gains negative charge, because usually in an atom protons and electrons are in same number, so the atom doesn't show any charge. But in case electrons are more, then atom shows a negative charge, we call it as an ion. And negatively charged ion, we call it as anion. Only to remember, I have split the letters of this word an and negative ion. I have just split it, but it is together to make you remember. Anion is a negatively charged. So what the positive charge is left? The positive charged ion is called as cation. When does an ion attain a positive charge? When it loses electrons, that means it is losing negative charge. So the ion attains a positive charge because there are more number of protons, and we call it as a cation. The molecule atoms can be stable or unstable. So molecules are the smallest stable substances of stable particles of a substance. It can be made up of one atom or multiple atoms. One atom, it is monoatomic. Two atoms, it is diatomic. More than two, or three, triatomic, and then polyatomic molecules. Molecules are very stable. If molecules have same elements, the atoms of same elements combine to form a molecule, we call it as a molecule of an element. But a different elements combine to form one molecule, we call that product as a compound, and we call that molecule as a molecule of a compound. Example, water, which has two elements in it, one is hydrogen and one is oxygen. So tomorrow let us continue further. In your textbook tomorrow we will read these two activities, and then we will check how to write chemical equations. Chemical equations is a word equations which we write it in words, but then we represent it in their as per the symbols or as per the formulas, then we call it as a chemical equation. Tomorrow we will just see through these two experiments and learn how to write a chemical equations. If you like the video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.